Okay guys, hello and welcome back to part 2 of the RetroPie configuration. In this video, we will be checking out how to basically get ROMs and things on to the RetroPie, and the ability to remap keys if need be on your controller using the RetroArch configuration. Okay, so first thing we need to do is you can always upload these either using a USB disk or a USB drive, like a flash drive or something like that. I tend to like just doing it over SSH, and using like SCP or something like that. So I'm going to be using WinSCP to put this on. Okay, so I will be firing that program up here in a minute. However, the first thing we need to do is we need to configure SSH, okay, and activate it. Now, I had a comment before that talked about you can activate SSH through putting it into the config file that's in that's on the SD card. Before you put it in, you can actually enable it there. I have not tried that, so that could be a method. I'm going to do it this way because I know that this way works. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our controller, and you need your keyboard still because we will have to go into the Raspberry Pi config to be able to activate the SSH. So first thing we need to do is go into our RetroPie. You're going to go down to the RasPi config. Okay, we'll fire that up. Now I'm switching from the controller to my keyboard. I've got it plugged in over here, USB. So we'll wait for that. All right, so now that this comes up, if I remember right, I believe it's in advanced options. Let's go into here. Span files, RAM memory, split audio, resolution, GL driver. I guess it's not in advanced options. Interfacing options. It's in one of these, so bear with me. I may have to flip through these. Yeah, okay, sorry. Interfacing options, my bad. So here's the P1 SSH. So you want SSH enable, disable remote control of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to press enter on this. Would you like to enable the SSH server? Yes, I sure would. So we're going to enable that. SSH server is enabled. Fantastic. So we're going to go over here to finish, and that should take us back to the RetroPie. All right. So now the first thing we need to do is, or another thing we need to do is to set up the Wi-Fi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to Wi-Fi, press our A button on our controller, and then this should load up the Wi-Fi system. So connect to a Wi-Fi network. I'm going to do that. Mine is this one. And then I'm going to use my keyboard again, and I got to enter my Wi-Fi password. And then I'm going to like that. Enter. I believe I did the right one. I hope so. We'll see if it'll connect. So this should go ahead and connect up to my home Wi-Fi. And once it does, I will need to, yes, okay, so see, it gathered an IP address, 192.168.1.171. So remember that, 171 is the IP address of this device. So we're going to hit exit because we're good to go now. It should be all Wi-Fi connected. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that we're back here, is I'm going to fire up our WinSCP. And I'm going to put that on another window. So let's shift gears to my desktop. Oh, this software is cool. All right, so with WinSCP, I've already typed it in. It's going to be the 192.168.171, and then it's going to have a username just like normal, as you normally SSH to your Raspberry Pis and default passwords and all that stuff. It's going to be Pi as the default user. Raspberry is the password, all that jazz. We're going to log in. This should come up. Yes, I need to update my key. And there we go. So now we should be able to look at, here, let me back up for a minute. Let's back up one level. Okay, so this is where it should be. You should be on your RetroPie, and then it's under your Pi, RetroPie/ROMs. This is where you will install all of your different ROMs. Now, I want to take a second to talk about ROMs. Okay, so for a minute, there's a lot of legality going on with ROMs. Okay, and from what I have gathered in my research, looking at legal sites and stuff like that, because it's a real gray area whether it's legal or not legal, and there's really cases on both sides. But under the Fair Use Act or law or whatever that is, under fair use, it just makes things kind of gray. Now, from what I can tell, it is pretty much okay if you own the game. Okay, if you own the game, whatever it may be, if you own it and you download a ROM for that game, you're, I would say, probably 80% to 90% in the clear. Now, the reason I say it's not 100% in the clear is because there could be a case that's held that says that, well, you are in fact making a copy of that game. Now, the argument against that, though, is if you're making a copy for that game and you are not selling it or trying to distribute it in any way, peer-to-peer networks, you got to be careful of peer-to-peer networks. Don't get these off of peer-to-peer networks, because as you're downloading it, you're actually seeding it, and basically you are making it available for most people. Now, that is a no-no. You can't distribute somebody else's game, copyrighted games, basically is what that means. So that's kind of where the legality gets a little funny. You should be more or less safe if you own the video game and you just would love to play it on this system, or have a ROM on your PC or something where you can play it, or on your tablet so you can play it on the go, that you don't have to physically have the gaming system to be able to use it. As long as you own the game, you can download. Now, it is pretty much, and it's still hazy, it's hard, but you're lower in the percentile of getting closer to, yeah, that's kind of illegal, is if you're downloading games that you do not actually own, that you have not paid money for. Okay, so that's some of the history behind the legality of this. I don't want to get in trouble by showing you guys how to do this. This is just for education, just to show you guys how to program and set up this Raspberry Pi Zero and use this software. The emulators themselves are 100% legal. You're buying something that emulates, except for it gets hazy when you start getting the BIOS for different platforms, because that is proprietary code. But people that design and build code themselves that's totally open source, that they deliver and they say that you can use totally free, license free and all that jazz, that just emulates a Nintendo or a Genesis or whatever, that's totally fine. When you start having to download, you start getting, again, and it's real hazy, because I think the same thing will go for the BIOSes, because if you own the system, like I have a PS1. In fact, I have pretty much every gaming system. I am a huge gamer, which you will probably learn through this whole thing. I own a lot of video games. I love video games a lot. I don't have as much time to play them as I used to, but I have a ton of them. And so I have the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, the PS4. I've got the Genesis, the Game Gear, the Saturn. I've got the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Pocket Game Boy, the Nintendo DS, the 3DS, the DSi. I've literally got them all. And so I think you'll get into the same thing if you own the platform. I think then getting the BIOS is, like I said, 80 to 90% okay. However, there still could be a case that says you're actually making a copy of it. Hello. My daughter's walking behind me. Anyway, so that's kind of where it's a fuzzy area. So what I'm going to be showing you today is how to load your ROMs and stuff on here. These are games that I have purchased. In fact, I will even show them to you when we get to the loading part. I do own these video games, and I'm using them solely for just me. I do a lot of traveling. That's kind of what spurred this whole series. I do a lot of traveling, or not a lot, but every now and then I do travel and whatnot for my work, and I saw that this was a golden opportunity to take literally my whole library of video games with me on the road and be able to play some of my favorite retro games without having to cart all of these systems and all this stuff, with me, because that's just infeasible. So anyway, this is all you have to do. Once you download the ROMs, I will not tell you how to download them. So sorry, but that's up to you. I will say stay away from peer-to-peer networks because in the background you are actually sharing that game, and that is illegal. You cannot distribute the video game, a copyrighted video game. Okay, so anyway, but all you do is you just dump it into these folders. We've got the Genesis, we've got the N64. Now, I will say the N64, it chugs on this. The Pi Zero just really doesn't have enough power. You really need a Pi 3 with overclocked and heat synced and all that jazz to really run a Nintendo 64 because it's pretty graphically intense. NES works great. The SNES works fantastic. The Sega CD works great. Let's see, what else are there that I have. The Game Gear works very well. The Game Boy Advance works very well. Yeah, and so all you do is once you get the ROM file, you download it from wherever, or if you have one of the ROM rippers that can pull the ROM off of the actual game itself, you just drag and drop it into these folders. All right, so that's what you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Once I download those or whatever, then what we're going to do is we will go back into our RetroPie, pretending that we did that, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring it up, and we're going to restart Emulation Station. You don't have to reboot the whole Pi. You just need to restart Emulation Station. And when we do that, it will then recognize the ROMs that we have and will bring it all up. Okay? So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to transfer those files, and then I will be right back. All right? Okay, guys. Actually, I said we'd restart Emulation Station. I was wrong. We have to restart the whole Pi. So I thought it was just Emulation Station, but I guess not. So we're going to let this restart. Excuse me. And my controller should connect back up. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just had to. I had to put it on the mic. Okay, so my controller connected back up. And now I went ahead and copied some Genesis games over, some Sega Genesis games that I own. In fact, I was going to grab the boxes, but in any case, copy them over. And I think I put them in the wrong folder. So I'm going to fix that. So give me just 1 second. We will pause and I will fix that. Okay, guys, I think I've recopied that. So I'm going to go ahead and try to restart Emulation Station again. Because like I said, I believe you just have to restart Emulation Station. So I thought I was right on that. I thought I put it in the right thing. The Sega Genesis is actually called Master Drive. There we go. On this thing, it's called Master Drive. It's not called anything else. It's not called Genesis because it plays a multitude of the different games. Excuse me for a second. Apologize. I had something in my throat. Anyway, so now all we do is you choose the system. As you add ROMs, the systems will pop up here in this menu. So we're going to choose the Master Drive. Should give you the ones that we have. Now, what I'm going to do, I believe that the controls are set up properly, but if they are not, we will pull up the RetroArch menu and we will see if we can't get it started. So we're going to go ahead and, let's fire up Altered Beast. So I haven't played that in a very long time. So we're going to wait for this to load. Bluetooth connected. That's good. Oh, yeah. Do we have any sound? I may have to actually... There we go. That's good. So we got some sound now. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Alrighty. So we've got some sound stuff. So there's Altered Beast. So now what I'm going to do, I'm picking Sega games because I don't want to get the copyright smackdown from, you know who they are. Oh, here we go. So I'm starting. So I'm going to see if the controls are what I think they are. Okay, that's jump. Okay, there's punch. Okay, so right now it seems like punch is the... Oh, there's my power-up thing. Oh, I got drilled. Oh, no, I want the power-up. Okay, but anyway, I think my controls is Y and B and then an A. Now, if I want that to be different, like I may want it to be different. So what I'm going to do So I'm going to call up the RetroArch menu. What I did was I programmed this L2 here and basically R2 to bring up this menu. I can show you how to do that. In fact, I think I didn't show you guys how to do that. So let me go quit, and I will show you where to set that up at. That just dawned on me now that I needed it. So what I'm going to do is to set that up where you can call up that RetroArch menu, you're going to go into your RetroPie. You're going to go into RetroArch is what you're going to go for. Excuse me. So once this loads, it'll bring up the RetroArch menu. Okay, here we go. So this is RetroArch. You can use the controller or you can use your keyboard, either way. So the controller, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Settings. We're going to go to Input for the input device, and then Input Hotkey Binds, okay? So Input Hotkey Binds is where we're going to set up our hotkey. So Enable Hotkeys. This is the one that is the button that you will press to basically change up your controller's key input from the normal, like Genesis or Nintendo or Sega or whatever, to those normal controls, to the hotkeys that are defined here. You press and hold this Enable Hotkeys button and press any other button, and it'll do whatever you've binded that to here. I hope that makes sense. So Enable Hotkeys, what I did, you press the A button to set it. So I'm going to go ahead and reset it. And then you choose a key on the joypad. And I'm going to choose the L2, which of course it's already chosen. But L2 will now bring up this menu. So now what also I want to do is I want to be able to bring up that menu. So I set, this is me personally, I set my menu toggle button to be the R2 button. So you basically have to hold down the L2 button, which is this Enable Hotkeys button, and then that shifts up the input instead of it being the normal L2 that would be sent to the game. Now any key that you push is sent to RetroArch, and it'll do any of these deals, and you can bind any of these functions to any key. So the menu key, these are the only two that I use because everything else you can get to through that menu. So that's all you have to do. Now we back up here, okay, and then we back up one more, and then what we want to do is go to configuration, and you want to turn on the save configuration on exit, okay, and this will save it as a global config. I'm going to press B to get back out of this, press B to get back out, and then I'm going to quit RetroArch, okay. So that should save our settings on exit and everything, and save that whole setup. So now I'm going to press B, and I'm going to go back, press A for the master system, select our altered beast. Okay, we'll let that load. Okay, so we got altered beast loading here. Press start. Okay, command you to rise from your grave. So now let's see what we got. Okay, we got jump is A, kick is B, and then it looks like punch is the Y. So maybe I don't like that. Okay, so like I said, I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press that L2 and earn R2, bring up the RetroArch. Okay, now I'm going to go down to controls is what I want to change, because I want to change the controls for this specific game. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, and right now, let's see, our user one, you got A, B, and C really is the ones you have for the Genesis, because Genesis had 3 buttons, so A, B, and C. So currently, right now, A is our jump, which is fine. So A button is basically the C button on there, so A's jump, that's fine. But I want the kick button to be on the Y, and I want the punch button to be on the X. So right now, kick is here. So kick is the B. So I want to change that to the Y button. So, oops, controls. So I'm going to move, I'm just pressing left and right. I'm going to change that to be the Y button. And then the other one, I'm going to change that to be the X button, if I can find X. Where's X? X button. Okay. So there we go. And then we can change this to the B button, just to make sure we don't coincide with things, even though there is no X button on this. So now what we want to do is you want to save the game remap file, not core, because the core will actually remap all of your buttons to this. So game remap file saved successfully. So now we should be able to resume the game, and I should have, all right, now my punch is on that, my kick is on Y. Oh, I just got taken out. and my jump is the other way. So that's how you can remap. So now punch is X and Y and so on and so forth. So see if I can get all buff here. Oh, good grief. What you want, Mr. Headless Guy? What you want? You want some? So anyway, this is big. Oh, there's my power up. Get that. Get my power up. Where's it at? Oh, I got it. Now I'm buff. Oh, I'm getting buffer. Now my punches have like magic missile punches here. Oh yeah. Oh, I just got taken out. I'm probably gonna die. I haven't played these old games in so long. Oh my gosh. Oh, I died. Oh no. I just keep dying. Oh, there's this guy. Welcome to your doom. Oh, he doesn't do it yet. That's right. We gotta kick some more R's first. All right. But anyway, as you can see, this is basically how it works. Now, the theory goes, if I get out of this game now, okay, I'm going to L2 R2 it, press B for back, and I quit RetroArch, gets me out of the game. Okay. Now, the theory goes, if I go back into this game, which I'm going to press A and go back into it, my button configuration should be saved since I saved that game. See, it says game remap file loaded. Did you see that in the lower screen? All right. So now the theory goes, if I start up the game again, I should still retain my button mapping. Okay. So, yep. And there it is. X is the punch. Y is the kick. So that's how you can remap your buttons if the mapping doesn't come across correctly. But at the same time, I still, if I quit RetroArch, I still have, you know, the buttons that I have works great for this. So that will conclude part 2 of this whole deal of getting the games on the deal and getting it set up, getting your controllers remapped and things like that. So that will conclude this. So the next video we'll have will be probably 3D printing the case and looking at some other cool hardware mods that we're going to do. We're going to actually be adding a battery to this, a small LiPo cell battery, and a boost converter to boost it up to the 5 volts so we can put it in, as well as a charging system that we'll put into this so you can recharge your RetroPie. And that way it will be a complete on-the-go solution. All you got to do is bring the RetroPie, a HDMI connect, cord, and the controller. That's it. That's all you need. Well, and maybe some way of charging it, but it should charge off a USB, which is great. It'll charge off a USB as long as you have a micro USB cable. It'll charge. So if you have a cell phone charger or something like that, it'll charge it off of that. So guys, thanks for watching. As always, make sure and like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, April 30th is going to be our live stream, our official live stream. We will be probably putting together an Alexa Pi. So have your Raspberry Pi ready to go, and we will check out. I think they've done some updates to the Alexa Pi software. Ooh, so it might be easier to auto start now or whatever. I will prepare all of that in advance, so that way we can just go through it together. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. So don't miss that. April 30th, 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time is when we will be doing that, as well as make sure and subscribe to me so that way you get the event reminders, because I'll be sending out reminders and whatnot to let you know when we'll be going live. So make sure and subscribe for that. All right, guys, that is it. Check out some links below. Check out the link to the t-shirts. I've got new t-shirts as well as other swag for the channel. Helps the channel out. Make sure and hit that thumbs up button or thumbs down as you please. And guys, with that, I think that ought to do it. We shall see you next time. Take care, guys.